Cypher side, and that's what this pistol round matters for.
Here.
Absolutely, and at least for Ascent, we've been seeing more of a defender-sided trend. So I'm actually all too confident in what would be both of these teams making full advantage of things, but I say that right, but it ends up being that TSM's most successful side on the last map was also the attacker. So let's see what happens. You still have huynh on the front lines, capitalizing off of things and immediately getting a frag over in mid. And not only that, getting so much pressure. If I'm not mistaken, he might even have the spike in his eyes. Still, a couple of players could turn around the corner. huynh gonna end up going down to Wardell. There's that map advantage, but an early pick and an early slowdown against TSM.
Yeah, they go 1 for 1, and both of these teams, at least Gen.G, came out with a vengeance. Quick push from huynh to get things off. MkaeL finds one back in a Subroza. There's no Cypher cage allowed here, but they do still have that Omen smoke to play around. And they are still sitting back just a little bit. The recon bolt doesn't find much. They are still sitting and waiting. The rest of TSM a little bit stagnant over towards B main. It's a difficult push, a huge choke point, and they're waiting around the corner. MkaeL's got a frenzy at hand, 2 from market as well. They're stuck, 30 seconds left, and they've got to get a move on. First frag out of bullets. It's Cutler who takes him down, and Wardell, it took him a second to find the head, but at least he finds it nonetheless. Drone drops GMD, and next thing you know, TSM have flipped around, whereas they've got the man advantage, and player run is on the retake.
MkaeL was in the one and done, but he's on a frenzy with barely any bullets, and again, that could have acted as a one-way. Player one can't see anyone on site, but they can see his legs. Player one still has to go through it. He's dropped down to 40 HP, still trying to play up against these two players, just playing ring around the rosy, and it's going to be drone on the front lines, capitalizing off the kill, and you still have the setup with Wardell right in front of him. We're ready to swing out off the trade, or even just that double peek whenever drone also needed it. At least going on into this next one, Gen.G, they did get good mileage off of things, 3 frags for themselves, and at least in this next one, their goal is going to be that good old economic damage.
Yeah, it looks like Wardell will go for the rifle. Normally you like to see him on the Ghost because you know what he can do with the Ghost, but this time he's playing it safe. Everybody's got a rifle except for Subroza, and even then there are no Ghosts. TSM are not here to joke about. They're ready to take the fight. They haven't even bought, or at least Wardell hasn't bought up utility. He's got that much confidence against 4 classics in a single shorty. It's a 5-player push straight down towards middle, and there at least is Subroza to try and meet them and greet them. First kill. It's a flying shorty. A Subroza drone, and the rest of TSM clean things up nicely. 1 casualty isn't going to hurt too much there as TSM take the second nicely.
Easy peasy for now, only really a singular player going down, and still incredibly efficient. They're going to be able to hold on to at least the SMG and the upgraded Bulldog from, or the downgraded rifle from the last round. And again, TSM, they find themselves in this position that they ended up breaking the trend of in the first map, where they ended up capitalizing off the first 2 round W's. And I think this one might be a little bit more proficient, considering the fact that they actually have more Phantoms than expected going into this one.
There's a camera from MkaeL straight down towards a winery. Subroza worked up towards middle. This is a crucial part of the map, and we've seen an assortment of players work it. Effys, Oden in his hand, and we know how lethal it can be on that B site. It always appears that the Sova has always got it in his hands, and effys will be no different. Hazed has at least made progress up towards A. There is a Cypher cage and a tripwire, so that does complicate things just a little bit. They are playing off of that contact. Both players, both the A players, are invested over towards this A garden or A catwalk side. Blast pack goes in. MkaeL, that Cypher cage is going to dissipate, and I think drone has got them dead to rights. No, that is a quick flick. GMD and both MkaeL find 2 frags, 1 on catwalk and 1 in the garden, and Cutler's last alive. May as well get this ult orb. You're not going to be able to walk away with this round. Picks up his tripwires because he knows that this is a lost cause.
And again, a stellar hold from the defenders. They had pressure on almost every extremity on this map. They had mid, they had main, they had cat. All locked down in terms of that take from TSM. And then going forward, TSM kind of realizing that their hard defaults are going to have to be way more successful than what they pulled off in the last round. More awareness in a sense and less antsiness. It almost feels as if they took cat off tempo, weren't able to clear out the spots. enough in time. And again, it's going to be the counter util usage of the defenders, of course, making all the difference near the end. You saw a player playing Ring Around the Rosie with the smoke and still getting himself a couple of insanely important frags on Cat. But now looking forward into this next round, you're still going to have TSM capitalizing on a buy.
Huynn's got the operator out. TSM saved up enough cash. Cutler holds on to the single Bulldog, and Wardell's going ballsy here. He's going for the operator glass cannon here, Gus. It's the duel we've been waiting for between these two Jetts. We're not going to have it in this round, it appears. effys has got the Odin. He's got Huynh as well with that operator. Should be a cutthroat setup here towards me. We'll see how it pans out, though, as we get into round number 4.
So like I mentioned, the default for TSM has to be a lot more effective, and they've switched things up slightly. 2 over towards B early on to try to catch off what is a very common early rush for a lot of teams in B main, and this time it's going to be the Jett operator lethal combo in Huynh. We talk about this all the time. We talk about the Heelys on the feet of Jett. You take a singular shot with that operator, even if you hit or miss, you get right on out of there back towards main off that zoom. You're safe. You're able to get back on B. It's low risk in a sense and very high reward. At least in this round, it's going to be TSM making their way all towards mid, and here comes the take. effys on the front lines. He does have a kill onto Wardell off of that Odin, and even player 1 capitalizing on Subroza, still on site. Player 1 pivoting, trying to get himself a 4th, but it's not going to work out in his favor. Drone back, but now he's stuck in a 1-on-3, still with the spike to work with, still with 40 seconds, but it's still going to be MkaeL at the very end getting that headshot with the Vandal.
Ascent A side is just such a hard site to take, with effys making that fast rotation with the Odin in his hand. When you've got 3 or so players all looking at one position, and it is such a tight angle, Wardell might have been able to create space with the dash, but he just couldn't find it. And Gen.G cut down TSM. 2 for 2 they go in terms of rounds. 2 in a row for TSM, and now 2 in a row for Gen.G. The battle continues, and it's the weak buy here for TSM that's going to hurt them in this one. We'll see if Gen.G can capitalize on it. Pistols have been deadly for both of these teams in eco rounds like this, so never count out TSM, never count out Gen.G when they're on ecos.
An early lineup from the Sova on B, almost getting himself a lot of damage off that shock dart, and at least looking over towards this round, Sully, I'm heavily looking forward to seeing really what TSM can try to pull off with pistols, because like you mentioned, really both teams have been pretty brutal off of ecos. I mean, we saw Gen.G win an incredibly pivotal round at the end of the game to prevent TSM from getting their way into a 12-9 scoreline, instead pushing them to that 12-10. It didn't work out in the end, but still, the eco successful for Gen.G. But let's see what happens. effys on the front lines does take down Subroza. The site so hard to take up. Again, you still have that Odin. You have a smattering of defenders on this site, still looking up on those crossfires. And if there was a singular attacker just trying to make their way around in terms of a lurk, again, they still have a player in market, still have a player on A just acting up, or at least a camera there. Awareness all over the place for Gen.G.
Odin spray from effys. Drone. All drone out. Does at least have the tag. It's going for the wall thing, but unfortunately, Huynh is able to dart away. The recon bolt reveals where drone is, and Cutler now will be lucky if he holds on to even this Vandal. 5 players, 2 are currently hunting him down. Player 1's ready for the swing, has his teammate behind him, but he doesn't even need it. Cutler taken down, nothing saved in that round, but it will now be the buy here for the side of TSM, and their moment to strike on back, take their revenge in these past couple of rounds. And there we've got it again, Wardell and Huynh both pulling out the operators.
Ooh, again, Huynh, he was thinking about that mid presence once again, as he's been pulling off for the past couple of rounds, but he is actually backing up and trading off spots with his teammate GMD. And at this point, TSM setting up for yet another default 3B, 2A at this point.
Cover going out.
So relatively confident, but no, it's actually going to be 4B instead. The singular person on A is going to be Wardell, trying to get himself an early pick. But speaking of early, there's an early smoke in A main too, so he's just going to have to back off. I mentioned that there should have been at least someone over towards mid in terms of awareness, but within just a couple of seconds, TSM, they're all the way up. They might just fall into the trap of Huynh. Huynh somehow still gets himself a frag off of that first miss. TSM down to 4 as they still inch their way towards market.
This area has been free real estate for TSM, but it always comes at a cost, it seems like. huynh makes that late double back towards mid, has an idea that there's a player there. GMD, check all your corners, my friend. You didn't check that one good enough, and Drone still sits and waits. The rest of TSM, though, double back and are ready for the A hit. If Drone can find something here, but it's effys that's got the Odin traced on his position. He's holding just a little while longer. The blast doors are now closed, and TSM have been cut off from any access points towards A without making contact. Still, though, it really is up to Drone. If Drone can find something for TSM to play off of, they might stand a chance, but he's waiting. He's taking his sweet, sweet time, and with 20 seconds left on the clock, TSM have got to get a move on.
Absolutely, they do. They still just have about 15 seconds left, but they've taken full control of A. There's still a tripwire here and there, but they pretty much just skip right on through all of them. Still a camera in the back lines. MkaeL trying to cover up mid, and he's actually going to take advantage of it with the neural thread. effys takes down one with the Hunter's Fury. GMD with another one. One last player remaining as hazed has to be the hero. Trying to capitalize on a kill, pivoting around on MkaeL, but that's the round once again. Gen.G, yet another great retake, but it's all off the X Factor. No off picks.
Clean stuff already from Gen.G coming out on their defending side. Obviously, Ascent seems to be a little bit more defender-based. You talked about kind of the storyline we've seen on Ascent this entire day. Teams always make that comeback when you get on the defensive side, and the real question is, we talked about momentum, we talked about gaining early ground. TSM had all of it coming from that victory. A pivotal, a clean second half on Haven. Hasn't translated here into Ascent, but it is, granted for the fact that it is the attacking side. They struggled themselves when they were on that attacking side, or the defensive side, apologies. So maybe things will swap around here on Haven. It's pistols, sheriffs, and a ghost for the rest of TSM, as huynh once more takes his operating prowess and has a shish kebab, but it's only the one kill. GMD's slight tag grenade and Subroza will put him down. I'd imagine it's the tag off the op that helps him out there.
And it's just at least extremely linear for TSM. Nothing too crazy for Gen.G to hold back on. Again, effys, we saw this earlier on in bracket with the fact that he loves to use up the LMGs, period. We saw him on an Odin earlier on. We saw him, well, I mean, Odin now, Ares earlier. Just off this round, TSM not able to take advantage of any of their 1v1s. Most of the Gen.G team playing off of off angles anyways. So at least off of this one, TSM trying to take way more advantage than what happened in the last round.
Cool. Operators again brought out. Kind of a tradition here for Wardell. Always has that op in his hands. huynh will be the first to swing over towards B. It's the Sova and Jett combo here over towards the B site. Two lethal fraggers, MkaeL and huynh. They've been popping off lately, MkaeL especially, or probably it's not MkaeL. I can't even remember exactly the Sova is. It's effys, that's who it is. I keep blanking a little bit.
I got you.
It's the two of them. It's MkaeL and effys that are playing both the information agents. So I get a little bit mixed up, but Subroza situates himself with just a classic in this round as once more TSM find themselves bottomed up towards the bottom of middle. Wardell kicks us off with one into GMD though.
On a big one, just has to keep looking throughout those angles on the fact that TSM, most of their defaults thus far has mostly persisted with players slowly inching towards sites. You still have Wardell stuck up outside B, waiting up for a pick. And again, usually you would expect Gen.G to be as conservative as possible, but now here comes an actual roll it back over towards Cat. MkaeL capitalizing, he catches himself one, trying to get himself a third, but Drone is there for the refrag. Things have now equalized. It's a 3-on-3, and effys just trying to find Drone around the corner with the shock darts, and he has the almighty Odin to go.
Highlighted here, effys, Drone, both at a standstill. Sovas are looking at each other, but they don't even know it yet. Smoke goes down, though, from his teammates, Omen, and huynh is looking to get a kill. He's gone all the way through B main, and they know where this hit is taken. effys holds the spray. It's now just down to huynh. How if TSM pulled this one out? 5 seconds left, and they've got just enough time for the spike. He's looking for an early kill here, but if he doesn't find something now, it might just have to be the save, but he's addressing the issue here. He's continuing to push on forward. The knives are ready, the ult is available, but if I'm huynh, I'm going back and I'm saving this, but he's got confidence for himself, and he's gonna try and do what he can to get back onto this site.
Here we go again. huynh, how many times are we going to see him attempt some sort of clutch in this tournament? Because man, oh man, it almost seems like sometimes he's a little bit too ballsy for his own liking. And Cutler, he's actually going to catch huynh off the off angle. Gonna have to rotate over. hazed also, oh no, he has the cross going. Takes down huynh. The saved off from hazed, at least gonna work out for him in the end, and kind of looking towards what is now the economy of our boys in TSM. Looking pretty good for now. Gen.G on the verge of, I mean, not really a reset. I say that, right? Gen.G, they've just lost their first round in a very long time. What was it, 4 or 5 rounds in a row? 5 rounds in a row.
Yeah,
from Gen.G.
I guess that's kind of why huynh went for it, right? $9,000.
No, not surprised.
9,000 credits. Apologies. So makes a lot of sense. But I think you could have saved that 4.5K. But obviously, they're the players. I'm just the one talking about the game.
Yeah, and not only that, but not only do they still get the cash up, but I mean, honestly, huynh, he could have won out that round knowing that his team are going to be able to buy for the next 2 rounds anyway. So TSM, they have quite the mountain to climb, but they also have a pretty good amount of economy. But let's see what actually goes down, because you do have huynh over in the front lines taking down one, but Cutler back on the return frag. Player 1 in such a saucy position, still able to take down 2 in mid. Oh man, so early on into this round for TSM, early on into their take at least, considering the fact that they really didn't show any pixels whatsoever. It was just Gen.G forcing the problem in mid, something that we really haven't seen them do a lot, but at least switching up the tempo once isn't exactly going to hurt you. And if it's what's going to win you around, yeah, Sully, you already know what I'm going to say. We take those.
effys sitting back on the B site, backing towards Boathouse. Can they get this kill? The TP in. effys knows. Now they know exactly where he is, though, and that's the problem here for effys. Hold them back and delay as long as you can, but even that doesn't matter, because they both walk into the single Odin spray, and Gen.G finds 6. You said they pushed the issue down middle. Well, you can't push an Odin. effys, a double to end the round in 6-3 in favor of Gen.G.
Lord, I never thought that I was going to talk about a tactical FPS where an LMG actually made sense to buy up, where an LMG is the story of the game. But for now, effys, he's making it absolutely work on B. Again, this spot, this strategy, pioneered at the moment by Sinatra, still taken up by players early on in beta, early on in the game period, by players from Mamba Mode Gaming even, that we saw earlier in terms of Infamous. And now going forward, with that LMG heading up the SWAT, I'm hoping for what will be a good TSM response, because again, they still have almost the exact same economy setup for the last round, but GMD, what a flick onto Wardell.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't catch that on our end, but
oh my god, it was insane.
must have been exciting there if you freaked out that much. GMD finds an opening kill. Subroza backs away off of the util usage. For now, it's good here for Gen.G. They've got the man advantage. They're kind of reading into this really, really well. Never mind. 3 players ready. huynh has got a perfect line of sight. All this intel here for Gen.G, and they don't even know what to do with it. huynh still holding, gets the first. That's the spike drop now, and he can continue to capitalize on this, continue to push for it, but he's holding his ground. He's smart about this. The camera goes in, but he's not fazed by it. Line up this shot, backs away as he takes it. Player 1 finds another and market as he sends in the paranoia. There's just one more there, and huynh has gone down to Cutler. They've got a chance to take the site now, as effys straight on through from that recon bolt. A combination of the two, as effys looks to finalize this round, but it's player 1 who takes it from him 7-3, as Gen.G look hot.
They look hot, they look tall, they look handsome. They're prominent all over the server, my friend, and at least at this point, TSM not exactly all too confident on their takes. We usually don't see what is a very scattered setup for this team. The hard 1v1s being taken by TSM is a constant, but losing them out certainly is not. Gen.G taking advantage off angles, hard peaks. Again, some of these players we saw just a couple of rounds ago holding W towards mid, and it just works out in their favor some way, somehow. GMD, he found an insane flick in the last round on Cap, but he's gonna have to go away off the smoke. But huynh, actually, instead of playing out on B main this round, gonna end up playing up mid, but Subroza instantly off the trade. That's at least something for TSM, as consistently they've been going down to the early picks. But I mentioned GMD. It was in an insane spot earlier up on Cap, but he stays there and still takes down the spike. This might just be disastrous for TSM before they even approach the site.
Smoke down there at least blockades his view. GMD sends a paint shell after them after getting the 2 kills that bring it back for him. They will double back towards B though. It's not effys that they'll meet. They're gonna have to deal with player 1, and he's got a paranoia waiting for them. Just going for this jump spot. Evade at least for now the recon bolt, and is holding on to the smoke. They're trying to clear this site, but they're not lining the shot up. It's up to him now. It finally connects onto 1, and Wardell's been given the intel, dashing on in to catch this player 1, but now they've got this site, despite yet to make a cross zone over, as now Wardell will start to get it down on the ground. effys with that Omen, not able to land a killing blow, as a 3 versus 3, and it was really just an eco here, as Wardell didn't even have a gun. He went in with the knives, but now he's got a phantom, as all 3 players on the side of Gen.G work their way back in.
GMD, you've got to be joking me with this showstopper, but it's still drone around the corner, taking down 2, and yet again, MkaeL staying alive, 25 HP. The task is stall, but can he actually make his way through? A singular knife from Wardell, and it said he pulls out all of them. TSM finally snagging back around, and the half isn't done just yet. They can still try to equalize with a 7-5, but a harsh situation for TSM, going steeper and steeper into that round. Again, good heroics from drone to equalize things, but how often are they going to have an off angle like that?
Not too often. I mentioned it was an eco, but I gotta correct myself. It wasn't actually. It was Wardell that really was the only one that didn't have money. There was light armor bump, but it was still a strong buy from the side of TSM, so my mistake on that one. But for now, a double up pulled out, winning GMD, and that last round made that one work. The double up setup, but GMD will not be doing much else. First kill is going to go the way of TSM as huynh trades it back down towards middle, getting aggressive and pushing that issue. Thus far, since that one round we saw them go down mid, they have been aggressed. A second kill for huynh, and that leaves the B site, at least in terms of TSM, empty in their presence. Wardell back towards middle spot, Cielo Jonah. That's information gained here in this 4 versus 3.
And certainly again, Sully, I've mentioned this before and I'll say it again. At least in terms of TSM, they have no space to work with, but oh, Wardell, cheeky as all ever, making himself, again, baiting out huynh, but man, oh man, this man with the flicks. Good tracking from Wardell, at least for now. One player up towards mid, that's drone off the lurk. Wardell is going to be joined up by Cutler as they're actually lining themselves up for a B take. Again, huynh, such a pivotal player for a lot of these holds, but still, again, he's capitalizing off of some of these insane takes. Wardell so close to actually getting himself a wallbang frag. Drone still in the back lines, takes down what is the lurk, the trade from effys. Still one more player in the back line, and it's going to be player 1 draining on back, and that's the site. 2v1 for TSM. Can they close out the half?
They're hoping to get this 5th one here. The confusion caused by drone coming from behind. Mid has been the open avenue here for TSM, and this time they finally make it work. MkaeL, 1 player against 2. He's got the Vandal, and it's a Dragon, so hopefully he can roar this one out, but Wardell has spotted him, and once Wardell's got information, you're already dead before the shot's even rung out. Gen.G, 7-5. They at least have to have, but that's a phenomenal way to end it for TSM. It's like what we saw in Haven, a confident ending there. But can they keep it going? Gen.G now on the attacking side, as Ascent has been very defender-based in this tournament, and we'll see if TSM can flip things around.
No, I'm excited for it, to say the least, because usually on Ascent, we've been seeing throughout this tournament teams starting to pick up more defaults throughout the pistol round, but instead we're going to just have a full dedicated push from our boys in Gen.G right off the bat in B main. And again, although it's a rarity, can they make it work? They seriously have to dedicate themselves to this one. They have to trade off each other. There's going to be two pivotal fraggers for this TSM side holding down B, so they got to get the job done. Here we go. Here comes the take.
Ooh, that spy cam dart already giving that position away. They're running through the Cypher cage. They've tossed one of their own. Oh my god, the damage! GMD finally takes down Cutler. hazed from the market position has locked in onto one. Player one with that trade back though, and they find themselves a man advantage. They've approached the site from here on out. The spike is yet to go down, and there is at least a flank coming in. Subroza from the back lines. There's a tripwire though that reveals his position, so his flank is now been nullified in terms of the knowledge here. GMD, one bullet and one kill. It's Wardell now in the 1v4, and it does indeed seem impossible, but you never know with this man. A ghost in his hand and a vengeance on his mind. He's trying to work his way back in though here, Gus. There are a couple players though, there are 3 players though, that if he can connect this shot, but he can't. Overwhelmed and swarmed by these players. It is Gen.G that take the pistol.
Swear to God, how does GMD do it? I mean, the guy was down to 13 HP basically that entire round. He's still got a frag through the smoke, and even then still catching an off-angle headshot on the player trying to entrance their way onto B. And like I mentioned for Gen.G, for that round to even work out in their favor, they still just have to commit. Something that Gen.G had a lot of trouble doing actually in the first game. Not enough commitment to a ton of the takes, but at least at this point, they've realized that they can trust at least their teammates, trust the take, and as long as they don't get picked early, well, hopefully it's not too tall of a task. But look at this, Wardell around the corner with a shorty, gonna be able to get himself one. MkaeL training back to Fricks, but there's still one more around the corner. Cutler, how does he get that kill with a classic? But he still picks up the shorty. Wait a minute, he's still looking for some cheese, still playing around with it. He puts up a cage to try to protect him. He runs on through, gets another kill. 3 on 2 for TSM off the eco. And not only that, but TSM, they're going to be able to regroup and retake their sights. Well, at least at some sort of even strength.
And effys, he's stuck back towards B main. That spike, they're hoping, they're banking on the fact that he hasn't made it on out, but it could just be the mind games. effys in the smoke, GMD, that is a huge kill. Nade goes in as well. That might finish him off. He's barely evaded it, tucked back in towards the controller room. As hazed, he's wanted off the classic. GMD, too many players to look at, and Drone will send him down. As TSM off of mere pistols return the favor and find the second of the half.
I'm just gonna have to back up on my words here, Sully. I'm just gonna have to bite my words. Gen.G might have just over-aggressed, might have just over-committed to that one. Dude, you already realize that there are 2 players behind there, right? Yes, they do end up getting the trade onto Wardell, but knowing the fact that these players, they're already extremely antsy. It's an eco. Of course, you're just going to try to gamble stack a site. You're rotating over as quickly as possible, and by the time they actually get there, you actually have Cutler, who's just an absolute beast, picks up the shorting himself, picks up the responsibilities for the team. Man. Can't believe it. TSM somehow pulling out this one, but Gen.G still in the lead, and they're trying to maintain it off of their own eco coming up next.
Wardell, TSM, he's holding a very front-up angle. 3 players around the corner. Subroza gets one on the opposite side of the map. The spike is there as well. Subroza runs out of bullets. MkaeL overwhelms him, but there is Cutler still in the back of the boathouse, so not to fear. Cutler is here. Ooh, tries to get it through the wall, has time to take off at least the dart. So with 1 player lost, that being Wardell, so far not too big of an issue, but if they take another, that's when things get a little bit dicey. This is all about economic damage here with their pistols. They were hoping to maybe return the favor with their pistols, but it wasn't probable. Drone shuts down effys, and now Subroza has got MkaeL in his sights, and it's only 1 loss for TSM, so a clean round altogether, as Gen.G will now have a bye on their hands.
Gen.G, what can they try to pull off? I mean, at least at this point, all of their takes, 2 at least for now. You can't really chalk up a trend so early into a half, correct? I mean, just talk about the first half. They had quite the long streak. If I'm not mistaken, they ended up winning 7 out of 8 rounds. right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of things. And now TSM themselves are trying to make a little bit of a comeback. They're starting to gain up that momentum in a sense. Talking from a strategical sense, for a lot of these players in Gen.G, getting caught off early by util is something that they simply want to evade. And at this point, they might just get hit on, because look at this, Subroza right outside A main. It was close to actually peeking out. There was a lot of info already taken from the Sova. Again, they can't. They simply can't commit to that one. They still need a take to make things at least a little bit worth it around the corner. You gotta be kidding me, hazed. Drone baiting out with the owl drone, but it's still going to be hazed going down to the showstopper, although he was already down on HP. Near side, and now drone goes down. Still one to the backside. Might have defeated him a little bit. Subroza still holding on, waiting up for the take. 3 people outside on A, slowly making their take in. Again, Subroza waiting under. Wardell already has one over towards short, but all the action happening on A as a spike goes down, and Subroza still waiting.
No!
A double updraft for Wardell. The last person remaining is around the corner, and Wardell again. A heat-seeking missile in the form of an aerial knife. That's an 8-8 scoreline. TSM back in the driver's seat.
I can't even imagine what their thought process was when they heard the watch out from the Jett. Their hearts must have dropped, because when Wardell's got it out, it feels like he just doesn't miss when he's got it. A right-click adventure, and that double updraft was insane. Catching him off guard mid-plant. Didn't deny the spike, but hey, they got the round nonetheless. And TSM, now they've got an even-Steven scoreline against Gen.G. The back and forth. This map's the decider, ladies and gents, for the grand final, and it's pistols that Gen.G have got to work with to prevent them from taking the lead. 4 sheriffs and a classic. Huynh is hoping to maybe collect on the fact that he can get his ultimate, can drop the smoke and immediately go for the ult orb. And if he can get it, that's when things could turn around here for Gen.G in this round.
Surely so, but again, I don't think they've been just able to find any advantage thus far. And Wardell, of course, he gets that early frag. Hazed over towards mid. He catches down 2. This should just be a cleanup round for TSM, as now Subroza through the smoke collecting 1. Drone playing ring around the Rosie with the smoke. And, well, that indeed was an eco. Indeed was pistols for Gen.G, but I didn't expect that one to go as quickly. But, well, kind of get that one out of the way. Gen.G says we go again, and a much better pie in comparison to the last round. But what's going to be the setup for Gen.G? They've realized that at least A main not working out in their favor. Maybe a little bit of chip damage over towards mid and B might be the answer. Again, Wardell has always been the guardian of this B side and mid thus far in this game, but if they can just take away that one pick, maybe, just maybe, things could work out in their favor. Early ulti for huynh. How can he use it?
He's gone for the ulti instead of the rifle. I think he's opting to save up in the next round for the operator. Subroza doesn't seem to really care about that recon bolt. Even with the run it back, he will be sent even further back now. Still the knives out for huynh. It's a matter of if can he land his shots. We've seen him hit some nutters before. Maybe not in comparison to Wardell, but hey, he's got an assortment of rifles around to help him out as they wait. Bottled up outside of B main. They haven't made the decision just yet. TSM relaxed on the sights. No presence towards mid. They're trying to kind of sell up a bait here. You do still have drone back towards CT. They're ready to set up towards B or set up towards a 2-2 split with drone ready to help either side. And he's going to need to help his teammates on B here.
Man, again, somehow huynh, he has so much control of garage. There's always going to be someone off the lurk in the back line, but in comes the action drone, somehow taking down huynh. Again, that's the only important ulti still in the back lines. This is Wardell. Knows exactly where one player is, but has to capitalize. Does catch it. Looking over towards the right side. 2 more attackers. Again, might be rethinking an actual approach. In comes the shoulder peek. And that camera just coming in clutch again. Subroza takes down 1. Wardell continuing his off danger. Drafts away. And he still gets himself a 3rd. A hard hold for TSM. But once again, Wardell with another 3K. And his teammates simply taking full advantage of sight.
Popped off in the last map, and look at him now, 18-11, leading the server and leading his team. 3 more rounds, and TSM can claim themselves the champions of the night's Invitational Gauntlet, but it's still a long way to go. We talked about huynh opting to go for the knives instead of a gun, and this is why. Picks up the operator in this round, and this could be the X factor. He has to land his shots. There's no question about it. And Subroza's is the first challenge. Paranoia has missed, but the curveball will land. huynh still trying to find this one. Another curveball, and they're pushing on in. Drone's got one off the Fury, and Subroza's removed the op. effys will pick it back up, though, in his saved hands. But with 2 kills off the bat, hazed might make it 3 here, as GMD is lining up for him. And same with MkaeL. TP's away now, and everything lies in the hands of TSM with this one that has hazed, and now just one in effys.
Again, pure pivot frags for a lot of these players, especially over towards Cat. Even if Hayes didn't have himself that teleportation ability, still would have been able to at least try to take down that last 1v1. And considering the fact that he has players to try to trade out with him, no fear whatsoever for this TSM side. Wardell once again taking care of a frag at the end with the op. And this next round is going to be even more pivotal for Wardell. He might just have to take up B main because it's actually 1 point away from the ulti. And speaking of ultis, Gen.G, 3 of them ready and raring to go. Same thing with the all-important showstopper on GMD. However, as much as Gen.G actually has a good setup in this next round in terms of ultis, in terms of economy, in terms of actual firepower, not so great. 2 SMGs, 3 upgraded pistols, and really all of these players, we've seen this overcommitment on B. I told them that they need to commit just a tiny bit more, but they just keep falling into the Cypher's trap. Are they going to make it worth it? huynh on the front lines with a Spectre, but Drone in a great off angle is getting caught off of the Hunter's Fury, but still in the end, it's going to be a smattering of kills from TSM to hold down Gen.G almost immediately off the take. Match and championship point for TSM coming up.
Calm before the storm here for Gen.G. Calm your nerves, settle yourself in. huynh, no operator in his hand. Is it going to be the fast play? 3 ultimates available here for the side of Gen.G. Now's the time to use it. 4 rounds in a row, you've got to win to send us to overtime. And this is your moment to do it. Quick play, it seems already. huynh is trying to push the issue back towards A main. Hasn't had the success that he's been hoping for. With players to back him, it might just work. Hazed again out towards Catwalk. And it looks like TSM more or less the same in their setup. MkaeL pushing out towards middle. So far, so good here. GMD as well. It's going to be this A split play here, Gus. And there is a smattering of players. How to take the word GMD. So many in front of this space. Blast back goes in. Subroza through the smoke. Traces the blast back to him. And now Wardell, player 1, will find it back to the cage. Subroza caught from the side now. The ultimate's been used, and they know exactly where they sit. Drone and a 1 versus 3, and the spike will go down and allow them a chance at survival.
Drone 1v3. Can he pull it off for the championship? It's a tall task to say the least, and this owl drone might spot him up, but Drone just has to run on in. Instead, there's going to be a player in hell waiting up for him. Player 1, take a bow. You might have just saved your team from elimination and saved your team from losing out the championship. At least going forward, TSM, they've saved up so much money in the bank that they are going to be able to safely buy for the next 2 rounds. But by that point, by those next 2 rounds, Gen.G might be able to get TSM in a reset position to actually take things into an overtime. So Gen.G might just be licking their lips in just a couple of moments, but they still need to continue up this tempo.
We got it, Gus. Finally, the Jett v Jett. Wardell versus huynh. Operated duel we've been waiting for. They both evade each other for now. Wardell's double scope, and he's won that duel here for TSM. An initial kill goes the way of them, and that could be a huge factor in this round. Hayes hasn't been spotted by the owl drone. Wardell doubles back. He's got another. GMD falters as well, and he's looking for more. Nearly lands that flick. 2 kills to his name, and MkaeL will finally trade it back here. They'd advanced up the catwalk position, but these last 3 players, they look a little bit lost as Hayes has got another. Confused and dazed, effys goes down, and just the 2 last here, Gus.
It's unreal. Still 2 more players. Player 1 is actually going to teleport, but Subroza! Oh my god, he's outside the cage, but somehow MkaeL, pre-firing the corner, does find himself the frag, and he finds himself a 3rd, equalizing things for the team off of 2-on-2. Things are still relatively even. Player 1 has teleported, again, earlier teleported his way over towards B, but now waiting up for his teammate to actually clear out things, has an opportunity to get this plant, but 2 players in heaven, ready to wide swing. MkaeL goes down. Player 1, last person remaining, hasn't gotten the spike down, but finally he's going to get it. He has wasted so much time on site. Color right through the wall, going to get it. Ladies and gentlemen, your Knights Gauntlet 10K champions, Team Solo Mid.
They've picked up the gauntlet in every sense of the word. They came back. They lost to Gen.G in the upper bracket finals. They lost the first map. They had the map advantage.